Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Accountability Hour, the podcast where we tackle double standards, self-improvement, and the messy realities of relationships. This is Lynn Watchhorn. What do you do if she's not telling you what she needs and wants in the relationship? A lot of men deal with this, and there's even more and more videos every single day about, oh, if he doesn't do this or if he doesn't know this, he's not the right person for you. And it's encouraging more and more women to have this mentality that he needs to be able to read her mind. And I understand there's a degree of anticipating your partner's needs when you're in a relationship. You eventually learn what they like and dislike. If it's a situation where you're at a restaurant and you need to order for them, you get to the point where you know what kinds of foods they might like, and you can probably order with pretty good accuracy on what they would want. But this is always taken so far to the point there's not a degree of understanding, and having to remember every single quality about another person is a lot to ask. She might expect to be understood by you without even expressing herself, and then she'll resent you when you inevitably fall short. What are the root causes of this potentially? Well, she could have had a bad childhood full of emotional neglect or inconsistent parenting. This is not your fault, and it's not your job to fix it, just saying. But maybe she grew up in an environment where expressing her needs led to punishment, or she was ignored, or she was shamed. So overall, she learns that good love means that you anticipate her without her even having to ask. And if you fail to do that, it might prove to her that you might not love her, and that's so far from the truth, but her underlying belief might be that. And the frustrating part about this is if you ask these same women, or any woman in general who's not good at communicating what she wants, hey, are you just like every other woman? She's going to immediately respond with no, because we all want to be seen as unique individuals, and it makes sense. So how are you supposed to magically know everything about her then? Because how we treat people often stems from whether it's our childhood, what our parents modeled for us, what we saw in movies and TV shows, how we treated our exes, and what kind of results we got from that, whether positive or negative. And what I've noticed is sometimes these women who grow up being neglected and overall, and he can't anticipate every single need like the last guy, she assumes he's a bad man when the reality is he's actually a good man. And it's frustrating because I see this happen over and over. And a lot of these women are sometimes in my comment sections. They're very wounded women that don't know how to express themselves. And I am not justifying this. It's never your job to try to heal someone who's been through a lot. Next, she might have a fragile ego, and that's simply why she doesn't express her needs. She thinks she has that mindset where if I have to tell him, it doesn't count. If I asked him to buy me flowers, then the flowers don't mean anything anymore. When, especially in long-term relationships, everyone has a habit of taking their partner for granted. I don't agree with it, and I think we all need to do a better job showing appreciation, but it happens to the best of us. And so that reminder can actually be extremely helpful when someone brings up their needs again or what they like. But she might have this habit of expecting perfection from her man. And this is kind of goes with, she expects him to prove that he's worthy by reading her mind. It also kind of stems from the fairy tale mindset where he just knows, and it's frustrating. Also, with the ego piece of it, a woman may believe that if she's direct with you and she gets rejected, that's also a sign of weakness by expressing her needs. Because if you think about it, when you ask these type of questions or bring up what you want, you put yourself in a very vulnerable position because that person can turn you down. That person could judge you or think less of you. So I think a lot of women are trying to avoid this. And I feel like a lot of men are better at dealing with rejection. That's why sometimes it's a little bit easier for a man to bring up his needs. That's another reason why I think a lot of women should start approaching men so they're better at dealing with rejection overall. And of course, gender roles play into this. Society teaches women to be low maintenance, to not be needy, to expect men to just know. So she might internalize the message overall. If I have to ask, it means he doesn't actually care, which is not true at all. And what I found is sometimes the women that actually speak up about what they want and need are actually low maintenance for the most part. And it also rules out the people that are wrong for you faster, because if they can't meet your needs and that's going to be a deal breaker, you guys can have that conversation early and then go your separate ways. And some women might not bring up their needs because they're afraid of conflict or afraid that you're going to abandon them as a result. Which what I've noticed is some of these needs women aren't bringing up are not anything along those lines typically. Oh, I want him to take me out on date nights a little more often. I want flowers. I want him to let me vent to him, like simple things. But as a result, they may worry about being made to feel like they're too much. And as a result of all of this, she may instead choose to withdraw or pout, and she'll hope that he'll chase her. And he'll magically just figure out what she wants, which sets the poor guy up for failure. And next, I think this one is pretty common, but she might be overall immature. Or she doesn't really know exactly what her needs really are, but she expects you to fulfill them when she doesn't even know what they are herself. What? Or she knows, but she doesn't really believe they're valid. I think that some of the women that have unrealistic expectations might fall into this. Deep down, she knows that she's asking too much, and she's setting up the whole relationship for failure, and she knows that. And one of the signs of this is she's constantly unhappy. Nothing you ever do is good enough. And then she shifts the goalposts. You finally do whatever she might have communicated, or you've done a lot more, and then she moves the goalpost. You spend most of the relationship walking on eggshells. And as a result, you get to the point where you're giving her so much, you don't even feel loved yourself. You feel like the entire relationship revolves around her. And in these situations, it can be easy for her to play victim, because when the relationship inevitably fails, oh, he didn't meet my needs. Well, what were your needs? Oh, I don't know. Of course, she doesn't say that piece of it, but he didn't meet my needs. And some women use this excuse of, oh, he didn't meet my needs, so they never have to take any responsibility for the relationship itself. It can all be blamed on you. And that's, of course, a red flag when you're dating. You want a woman that will take some responsibility for all of her failed relationships. As I've grown, I've noticed myself, like, I had a part in every single relationship I had failing, including the times I was cheated on. While it wasn't my fault I was being cheated on, there were still elements in that relationship where I could have done better, where I was screwing up. So you kind of want a woman that's mature enough to be able to admit that, to realize that bringing up her needs is very important, and she cannot have a healthy relationship without one. It is not your job at the end of the day to try to sit there and walk on eggshells trying to figure out what her needs are. She is an adult. She can speak up. She can tell you what her needs are. And if she's struggling on figuring out what those needs are, you then can expect her to be reasonably trying to find that out, whether, she explores that in therapy or journaling, or she has other hobbies that she's going out and doing that are not cheating, obviously. But in general, you see that effort behind the scenes, that she's actively participating in the relationship. Any woman that just expects you to read her mind it's not going to work long term. And you're ultimately just wasting your time, because if she's not willing to hear you out and listen and potentially change her ways on whether or not she speaks up, things will never get better, and you'll be stuck in this relationship where you're trying to figure things out, and it's not fair to you. That's also emotional labor, which is never talked about because it's often portrayed that women do all of that, but men also do a lot of that. Okay, ultimately, what will make her change if she ever does? She will have to hit rock bottom. She'll have to realize that she is not happy and her partner is checked out because, you've tried. You have tried to figure it out, and she is not expressing her needs, and you can't read minds, and you're not the same person at the end of the day. if she starts to notice that she drives people away and none of her relationships work out, whether it's, relationships in a romantic way or friendships, maybe, just maybe, she might consider therapy or read a book or open her mouth and just tell you. But you can't force that. And next, if she has a partner that actually starts setting boundaries and stops playing her game. Oh, you guys were driving home and she wanted to stop at Starbucks, but she never brought it up to you. She expected you to just know. And when you don't know, she gets mad at you and gives you guilt trip, or she gives you the silent treatment for 2 more days. No, you decided you're not going to do that. So you stop chasing her. Maybe you even call her out directly. Or you hand the responsibility back to her. I want to meet your needs, but you need to tell me what they are because I don't know. And if she truly values that relationship, she will consider growing. And if not, she may deflect, repeat her actions, and take it out on you. And that's always a bad sign. Next, her friends have a huge impact on whether or not she'll change with this. If she has a friend that has a thriving relationship and she's always expressing her needs, she may be more likely to do that. She's like, oh, hey, my friend Janet gets everything she wants out of her relationship. Oh, all she does is she tells her man what she wants? Wow, I should try that. Or if she's around family or friends who model that for her, even a therapist. And to be fair, some people genuinely just don't understand this, and it takes a while to break the habit. But again, another thing is a breakup that shows her that the emotional cost of not bringing up what you want and need can set the stage for her. But then she'll be dating someone else. So, it doesn't impact you in any positive way. You might be helping her for the next guy, but that's not your job. Long term, if she doesn't change or fix this, she's going to have a difficult life. I've dated one guy that was like this. I know it's less common for men to be like this than women, but the message does apply. These people have a tendency to be very passive aggressive, and there's some entitlement usually there. And relationships with these people can get really exhausting. Because yes, the roller coaster can be fun for a while, but after a while, you're going to want to get off the roller coaster and have some stability where everything's calm and collected, and you can just enjoy your presence with another person without constant fights and drama. And in a long-term relationship, this can become emotional abuse. Because there can't be any trust if you're constantly going through that. And then you're constantly confused and she's constantly resentful. And for what? You don't even know. And this is why I think in a lot of cases, the divorce comes out of nowhere, genuinely. I also think some women need to express how much their need actually means to them. Because I feel like a lot of men here venting 24/7. And a need might be a side comment, oh, I would love if you did blank. But it's not something that's taken or treated like a very serious matter. And then when she's breaking off the relationship, you're probably sitting there confused oh, I didn't realize that thing was so important to her. Because everybody has different priorities on what's most important. And you can't build a secure relationship with someone who weaponizes silence and then cries victim. So if you're in a relationship like this and you've talked about it directly with her, the double standard that might be there, and kind of see what's going on with her, and she deflects or she's not willing to take any responsibility or work on it, you don't have to stay in that relationship. And long term, if she's not willing to express her needs, you're set up for failure. There's nothing you can do on your end of it to make it work. And I've talked to a lot of men where they're in relationships with women who never take any accountability for anything in the relationship. And it truly creates an impossible environment for you. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might benefit from it. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know your thoughts.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here. And you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.